Everyone, so I wanted to make a quick video on a topic that's going to surely come up when you post, as you start posting, just chances are you're going to post something that someone's going to disagree with and maybe even misinterpret and get offended by. So let me show you an example of a post like that and give you my tips on what to do when this happens. So let's reduce this size. So for many of you, you know that I used to be a medical student, right? And so this is a surgeon, and let me start the video from the beginning. So this is a surgeon who made this TikTok video, and I found it on Instagram. So I liked it, so I went ahead and recorded the video and saved it and posted it on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, I said Instagram has created a new wave of med student, a cringier, laughable type than what I saw in med school. Okay, so clearly I'm saying I was in med school, and it's a funny joke. So let's play the video so you see what the video is about. So this is med students on Instagram. Okay, so clearly funny because if you haven't interacted with them, a lot of times when med students start medical school, they have this kind of like swagger to them, this unearned sense of confidence when they're walking around the hospital, and in reality, like they just don't know what they're doing because they're students, right? Pretty benign. And this performed very well. Like this so far, this has 94 likes, 29 comments, but only 4,000 views, which I was surprised to see. I figured it'd be actually a lot higher. But maybe it'll start taking off. And again, this performed great. Like a lot of salespeople saw this, which is good for me. But then also 225 physicians, medical assistants, there's 132 surgeons, right? And if we look at the people who liked it, there's a lot of physicians who liked it, right? So here's a physician that liked it. Here's a surgeon who liked it. Chief of cardiothoracic surgery at Beaumont liked it. Okay. Now here's where it gets interesting. This was essentially shared. And there's somebody, so this physician says, I agree with Abraham, not cute, funny, or cool, just stupid and unprofessional. And so I saw this and I was like, who's Abraham? So of course I went to the comments section to check. And again, I always recommend, try and at the very least like the comments that have been left, but try and engage people. If they take time to write and share their story, reply back to them, okay? So here is Abraham. And Abraham is Chief of Medical Education, Physician Partners of America. And he says, not funny, embarrassing, a medical student equates to a poor medical school training. No, I repudiate these things. We treat medical students, residents as future peers. This guy, whether he was doing it or not, I mean, he's taking some kind of a stand, and what I would like to call this as virtue signaling, which is like, look at how thoughtful and great I am, and look at how poorly thought out you made this post and how bad of a person you are, right? So a lot of times when this happens, what I recommend is when dealing with trolls, and again, LinkedIn, this is very rare. LinkedIn is one of the most trusted platforms of all social media platforms. It's a very positive place. You don't get this very often, LinkedIn, okay? So one thing I recommend with dealing with stuff like this is that just leave it alone, ignore it, and see within 48 hours, a lot of times people will just start replying. So I left it alone. Of course, here we are. A surgeon is commenting back and arguing with him. He's like, this is clearly meant as a joke. Having been in that very position myself, it was funny. It's not degrading and makes light of a tough time in healthcare professionals. This surgeon calls you, your attempt at trolling and trying to sow discord at a horrible time in our country is exactly what we don't need. Stop divide. So again, this guy's had an issue with it, but this is to my benefit because now there's all this engagement. There's 8 replies just on this one comment, right? So they go back and forth, arguing about this. And at some point I decided to you don't have to do this for me. I just decided at this point in my career I wanted to. This guy VP says putting docs on pedestals is a significant reason why we have so many lawsuits. People don't understand the complexities. So anyways, I'm leaving a link to this in the notes so you can, if you're watching this a few months or a year later, you can still see this post. So I decided to reply. Now before I show you my reply, let me give you my, you have one or two options. Option number one, if you're a salesperson, if you're a marketer, if you work for somebody, you have a board, be really, really, really thoughtful and think about what you're going to say, because this is public, right? And so even if you say something that's benign, someone you work for might take it out of context. So keep that in mind. Now, that being said, okay, I replied because I don't work for anybody. I have my own business. I work for myself. So I'm at a point in my career where I don't need to put up with that kind of behavior, right? And especially if somebody's going to try and make a comment saying that I'm degrading people, I'm not going to allow that, right? So you have really one of two choices in terms of what you want to do. Choice number one is you try and be thoughtful. You try and see their point of view. What I recommend is write back how you understand their point of view. Clarify your position, right, and then leave it at that. Or option number two, which is you can kind of call them out on how ridiculous, their comment is, right? And the last thing I would say before I show my comment, I believe in, and I didn't block these individuals at all, by the way, but you should not be afraid to block people. I think blocking is something strategic, and you should use it vigilantly. So for me, I block people who are try and act like they know what I'm thinking. So stating what's in my mind, right? Like, oh, Omar, you really think this? You get blocked for that. Anybody who's just overly negative. So I posted over the weekend. My son was born last week, so I posted this post. I wanted to share with people because LinkedIn is like a family, for me, an extended family, I guess. And so I wanted to share that with you. Some guy commented, he's like, "What the hell is this? I thought it was LinkedIn." Immediate block. I don't need that, right? So don't be afraid to block people. That said, I didn't block either of these people, but I'll show you what I wrote. So I commented and tagged both the people who had an issue. I was like, look, as a former med student, I found it humorous and relatable. So did many other physicians. Med students were the ones who brought this to my attention. The video was even made by a surgeon. I left it like that. Oh, and somebody hearted it. Okay, the surgeon who's sticking up for me. So that's my recommendation in terms of how you deal with stuff like this. And again, the most important thing is keep in mind your place in the hierarchy professionally. So you're VP or CEO. Yeah, you can kind of defend your position. Be professional about it and everything. You're a salesperson. Just be careful about these things. Now that being said, do not let something like this deter you from posting. This is going to happen, right? And if you think about this in terms of building your character professionally, either you stand for something or you're going to fall for everything, right? So at some point, you're going to post something that somebody's going to have an issue with. That's how the game goes. All right. Hope this has been helpful. Get after it.